episode of Passion Vista podcast. I'm your host Neetu Singh, and today we have a true trailblazer with us. Meet C. Wilson, founder CEO of Mavericks Consulting, renowned flow state performance coach with a background in stance, martial arts, and MMA. Wilson's journey is as fascinating, it is inspiring. Join us as we delve into his unique approach to peak performance and learn how he is empowering individuals worldwide. Without further ado, let's dive in with Mr. Wilson.
Hello. It's great to
Hello.
be. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Wilson. It's absolutely a pleasure. We are absolutely excited to begin the enduring podcast with you.
Great. I'm excited too.
Great, great. So, Wilson, we would like to start with your childhood memories and what actually sparked your love for sports and self-involvement.
So, the childhood memories that sparked off the love for sport or movement, I think it's always been in there. I've always had this, when it comes to movement, a natural ability to move my body. I now have a 2.5-year-old son. And I'm looking at my son, and he is very much, as I'm told, like me at a young age. And he loves to move his body. He loves to run. He doesn't really stop. He's full of energy. And I keep hearing people saying this is exactly what you were like when you were younger. He doesn't stop. He doesn't sleep. He just keeps moving. So there's a real love for moving his body. So I think for me, I have obviously had something very similar at a young age where I just liked to move my body. I mean,
Wonderful.
this morning, I went and got him a small skateboard, and he was being on that skateboard for, I don't know, it feels like hours, just holding his hands, going up and down. And that kind of movement is the kind of movement I did as a kid. And I remember that having a similar skateboard and going through it. So the question about what your childhood memories of movement, it's coming back in my face, not just with this question, but by surrounded by my son just now.
Right, right. That's really amazing. It's like father, like son.
Yeah, yes, except he can speak 2 languages already, and I struggle with English. So that's the beautiful thing with him.
Wow, wow. So, would you like to share any childhood heroes that influenced your experience of this journey?
So this journey to be who I am today, it's an interesting question you're asking me just now because I've just gone through reliving these sort of experiences. But who inspired me at a young age has been people like, fortunately, my father, my uncles were all very inspirational men because for what I do, I teach people to get into flow. And one of the important things to get into flow is understanding something called your intrinsic motivation or your intrinsic spark. It means that you do something for the pure love of doing it. And my uncles all had a sort of martial art or a philosophy-based background. So from a very young age, they were influencing me a lot in this alignment or attunement. I didn't know at the time, but as I look back now, I can see clearly that they were aligning me to this little intrinsic motivation, this intrinsic spark, and encouraging me to align with that and pursue that. So my uncles and even my great uncle who came to visit us at a young age, my great uncle came and visited with us, and he used to read a lot of Zen books, so Zen Bones, Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. And that at a young age was really the mixture that I had. So My uncle's a doctor of philosophy. My other uncle's a martial artist. My great uncle was a Zen student, if you like. So this was the kind of the uh, breeding, the environment I had at a young age.
Wow,
So
wow, that's really
um,
amazing. So you have an entire family who has been inspiring in this beautiful journey.
yeah, but I think inspiring me without trying to inspire me by just being who they are.
Correct.
You understand what I mean? So there's a difference. It wasn't like they were trying to purposely create something to happen. They were just being who they are. And by them being who they are and me just being in that environment allowed me to align to what I'm doing today,
Wow,
talking to you.
that's really amazing and inspiring equally because it's very important to be, who you are. Then only I think you can perform your best. And that's what you've been doing. That's really amazing.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. I agree because too many people are trying to be somebody that they're not, trying to fit into a certain category. The secret for it all is to be yourself and be fearless in being yourself.
correct, correct. So, as you tried your hand at various roles like stunt performer, martial art instructor, and MMA champion, how did these early experiences shape your understanding for reaching the top of your game?
Well, all those that you mentioned, I think for a lot of people, uh, the obstacle is themselves, the mental barriers that get in the way. You know, as I said earlier, movement was very natural to me. It was an effortless exercise. And from a young age, I was involved in the martial arts. But when I went from being a martial artist to training to be a stuntman,
Mhm.
I noticed that I wasn't as tough a guy as I thought I was when I had to go and do other kind of skills. So I might be okay doing martial arts, but then when I have to sit in the back of a horse or jump onto a horse, it's a different kind of state of being to be in. If I have to rock climb or jump off a high building, it's a different mindset. So I began to notice clearer the impact
Mhm.
of what's going on underneath in this machine
Mhm.
that can either help me or hinder you
Oh,
or
wow,
hinder us, right?
correct.
So by going through that, it helped me further sharpen um, and develop the skills that required to get the chatter out the way, to encourage everything to be pointing in the same direction. So, for example, maybe my intrinsic spark was telling me to go this way, but my head is going, "Are you crazy? What are you doing this way?" So, trying
Actually,
to get everything to be aligned in this direction, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, correct, correct. It's
so,
something crazy you want to do.
so then, yeah. So it's like we have to get everything all aligned. So the good thing about my journey, and like everybody's journey, is that the activities or the situations or the experiences that we put ourselves in, there's lessons in there for us. It's not there to stop us, it's there for us. There's something there for us. So for me, being in that situation um, helped in many ways to align myself more truly to my North Star, to my inner spark, to my direction. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, you did. Amazing, amazing. We've, knowing you as a flow state performer. So, what our viewers would like to know what is flow state and more about it, if you could brief us.
So if you can imagine, see the times that you've had where you felt your best, you performed your best, where time was distorted, where things sort of slowed down or sped up. Times when you felt lost in the moment, but really found in the moment. where you felt like the separation between you and I blurred, the separation between the activity and you became dissolved, and it felt like you were at one with what you were doing. That that's an experience that we've all had, but maybe in different situations. This is flow. So the flow state is really the state that we're all capable of getting in on a regular basis. And it's really the state where you're doing something and it feels effortless. In fact, it feels you. In fact, it feels like the one. You're so dissolved in love with the activity that you're doing that aligns with everything. Then when you do this, your productivity dramatically increases
Wow.
without trying. Your learning speed goes up, your creative problem solving. At the same time, your stress levels go down.
Oh, wow. That's really amazing.
So you're doing by finding flow on a regular basis and allowing yourself to get into flow. Not only do you become more effective and efficient about whatever you're doing, but you also become more healthier and vibrant. And what I was speaking about previously about this intrinsic spark, there's components or elements to a flow state, like having a clear goal, one task, something called a skill challenge ratio, having that in a balance. But the real secret potion is the intrinsic spark, as in when you do something that you're doing purely for the enjoyment of doing it, not for an external reward,
Right.
you will effortlessly find yourself in flow. Now,
Right.
for people in business, the art is to align this intrinsic motivation with your direction with your business, what you're trying to accomplish with your business. So when you get these two in alignment, you will effortlessly perform at your best, feel your best, be de-stressed, have a smile on your face,
Wow.
and look like you're doing it like you're sitting in a sun lounger. It'll be effortless. You understand what I mean?
Wow, wow, that's really amazing. So, what really inspired you to become a flow state performance coach? And what is your goal that is helping you to unlock their potential?
So this intrinsic spark thing that I'm talking about, this inner motivation, it's inside of us all. It just so happens that mine has taken me here. I just followed this intrinsic spark. And this intrinsic spark, a lot of people would say, is coming from your higher self. You know, a lot of the alignment comes with an alignment of your lower mind and your higher mind. When these two become attuned, you can hear clearly or sense clearly the communication coming from your intrinsic spark. Me, and like us all, have listened to it, not listened to it, listened to it, not listened to it, listened to it continuously. For me, over the last number of years, I've listened to it more and I've arrived here. So by following what you love to do, by being who you are and aligning everything towards it and enjoying the journey that you're on, you discover where you're supposed to be. Just so happens, I'm supposed to be here talking with you right now.
Wow, that's amazing. So, how Wilson, we would definitely like to understand more that how does it help people to perform their best, whether it's in sports, work, personal life, business? Could we give us a glimpse of it?
Well, I mean, a lot of people might go through their day with their face like this, their face all sad and flat and not really enjoy what they're doing. What if you actually started to do what you feel you want to do what you want to do purely for the love of it, that would gradually begin to align more and more to a life filled with happiness. So, there's a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. There was a guy who was really the godfather of the flow state research
Mhm.
flow state. The term flow state was sort of blossomed by his name, but really flow has been always about with different names. So Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi coined that term flow, but one of the things that he would say would be an effortless byproduct is this sense of happiness, feeling happy, peaceful, enjoying what you do. So the reasons for people to find more flow in their life, I could take away the word flow and say find more happiness, enjoy in your life, because it's the kind of same direction, except with flow, there's I suppose, an even deeper take in it. So when people do something in flow, when people do something that they love to do, which makes it easier for them to get into flow, there's elements that happen. But one is what I mentioned earlier, is where the action of the task,
Mhm.
you begin to merge with the awareness of the task. You
Right.
become at one with what you're doing. That oneness with the task that you're doing, now that can be writing, fighting, it can be business, it can be with relationships, it can be cooking, it can be cleaning, it can be walking, it can be anything that you lose yourself in the enjoyment of the activity. But when you lose yourself, you're becoming closer to who you truly are. You're becoming more attuned to the real version of you,
Right.
not the personality or the molded personality or belief systems that we have been led to believe is how we're supposed to be functioning, but you without any limitations, you with your personal expression in life. That's who you align to. And when you do align to this, your skill, your productivity, your recovery, your health, everything dramatically improves by simply doing the one thing you feel excited to do. Understand
Correct.
what I mean?
Correct, correct, absolutely. When we loosen ourselves, we are actually, liking it, we're loving it, and that's what the beauty is. That you allowing yourself to learn further, you're allowing yourself to actually believe in what you're doing. So I think this is beautiful. You actually
So
allowing yourself.
exactly, allow is a great word, because a lot of people that are out there improving themselves, okay? So let's say everybody in the self-development community are probably all facing the same thing. They're trying too hard to be something that they're not. They're trying too hard to fit into a category. Really, a lot of the alignment that we have to do is let go to be ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean you sit on the chair and don't do anything. What that means is you, in one angle of it, let go of what everybody expects you to do. Let go of what you feel you have to do to fit into the society or whatever you want to call it. Instead, let go of that and align to your intrinsic motivation, your spark, and walk forwards with excitement, courage, that where this takes you is where you're meant to be. Now, as you go forwards in that direction, there's other things that you want to kind of, not to make it more complex, but to uh, bring that understanding of taking action and letting go at the same time. You have something called heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is not your heartbeat, it's the gaps between the heartbeats. When those gaps between your heartbeats have different variety, okay,
Okay.
it's an indication of a strong nervous system, a strong system,
Okay.
okay? Now,
Right.
the way to align your nervous system or to find a coherence with your nervous system to what you're doing is one way is to use your breathing.
Mhm.
So you have two branches, there's three, but we'll talk about two. Two main branches of your autonomic nervous system. One is sympathetic nervous system,
Okay.
fight, flight,
Right.
or freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Second is parasympathetic, rest and digest.
Okay.
When you breathe in, sympathetic. When
Mm-hmm.
you breathe out, parasympathetic. So
Okay.
your body is always trying to adjust accordingly with
Okay.
its breath, other things. But it's doing that with the environment that we're in. So if we are going into an environment that we're wanting to find flow, but a wee bit scared, a bit anxious,
Correct.
okay? And
Uh-huh.
if we go in scared and anxious,
Mm-hmm.
we're not in that coherence, we're out of balance.
Correct.
Therefore, it may be difficult for us to get flow because maybe we're talking too much, maybe our breathing's tight, my body's tight.
Right.
So we use our breathing to calm ourselves, to center ourselves according to the activity. So I want to be clear that when I say calm myself, it's
Mm-hmm.
calming for the situation I'm in. Because if there's a situation where I am jumping out of an airplane, or I am running a race, or I'm fighting in a boxing match, or I'm sitting writing a book, the coherence with each activity is slightly different.
Correct.
But as long as you're aware that you're using your breath to find that sweet spot,
Mm-hmm.
when you find that, it will
Right.
be easier for you to effortlessly fall into flow. Are you with me?
Yeah, correct. So if how can we actually use this in our daily life? I mean, we definitely face some or the other stress issues, right? Stress is part of our life. It's a daily routine. Even my doctors keep saying me, Neetu, don't get into stress. Are you into stress? I say it's part of my life. You can't remove that, right? You need to, I mean, I really need to work hard for it. So if you could share some tips like in our daily life, how could we actually get rid of this stress or we can have an amazing stress-free life?
So what if I could tell you that I could help you work less but produce more?
Mhm. Is it possible?
It is possible because there's certain things that if we, if we get like a sports car and if it's tuned correctly, it performs better. It
Mm,
performs easier and effortlessly, right?
correct.
So for us, we are sports cars,
Correct.
okay? So we're sports cars. I'm sorry about this example,
Yeah.
but let's say this, our sports cars, one thing that we can think of, we perform better when there's light,
Mm,
and when there's no light, darkness, we have our body wants to calm down, rest.
correct.
So let's say if we first of all begin to align our schedule to when the sun comes up. Sun comes up. Okay. Sun comes up. That's the first thing. Light goes into our eyes and it begins to switch our body on. We begin to be more in a sympathetic state, right?
Mhm. Correct.
Which is, that's a stress state. This a perfect stress state, right? Now, let's say we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We get
Right.
up at 6 o'clock and we start our routine and our schedule for business round about that time. So every 90 minutes or every 120 minutes, there's a natural ebb and flow with your nervous system.
Oh,
There's a natural high and low with your nervous system. Okay.
right. Right.
So so that means that when the nervous system is up, okay, you want to be doing all your important work and tasks at that 2 hours. So let's say for ease of the listener, 2 hours, 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock, you've got a lot of energy, let's
Correct.
say, a lot of fuel.
Yes.
Then after you've done 2 hours, you want to take a 20-minute break
Correct.
or less. Now that means you don't go on social media until what's going on here. You take a break, right?
That's absolutely you nailed it. Most of us
So
do this. We're getting a break.
everybody does
All right,
it.
let's go to the social media. Rose,
Yeah,
start scrolling. Yeah, this is what we do. Correct.
let's call it. Phoning everybody, hey, how you doing? Been a break for a while. So you do all these things, right?
Correct.
So what you want to think of this, to be, the term self-mastery. Self-mastery is aligning yourself to these natural rhythms and making life easier for yourself. So let's say the sun comes up, you get up 6 o'clock, 2 hours, you take a break. 2 hours, you take a break. 2 hours, you take a break. If I get up at 6 o'clock, right?
Right.
There's something called your, hopefully this is not too complicated. There's something called your temperature minimum when your body temperature is at the lowest. And there's something called your temperature maximum when your body temperature is at the highest. So if I'm getting up at 6 o'clock every day, I'll know that between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, I'll have a dip of energy.
Correct. We
right?
do.
So
We do.
you feel it, right? You
Yes,
feel
we,
that dip of energy.
yes.
Now, if you instead work with that energy instead of against it. So instead of thinking, okay, just push through, I'll fight through the pain, I'll just keep going through, which we have been entrained. That is what we have been entrained is the best thing to do. If instead you take that 2 hours and you do something that's more related to your nervous system, meaning it could be you take a long lunch break, it could be you go for a walk, it could be that you do a lunch break, you go for a walk, and you you change your tasks, right, to be more aligned to that kind of energy. So what I mean by this is, I'll jump back to the morning. Are you with me?
Yeah, correct.
I'm saying a lot. Sorry, it's just not one thing, but
No,
so
no,
you
they're
get up,
all, no, they're
they're
correlated.
all come together.
Yeah.
So I get sun comes up, 6 o'clock, I get up. 2 hours work, 2 hours work, 2 hours work, break, 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 break. In the afternoon, I know that's coming. So in the morning, up until the afternoon, you want to think that your body is primed for go, go, go.
Correct.
Which means dopamine is the number one neurotransmitter, it's the fuel source from the morning up until that time of the day. It's El Capitano. The dopamine is the entrepreneur's hunter-gatherer neurotransmitter. It's the one that makes you drive forward, pursue the task that you're wanting to do. So if you think that in the morning, that is all the way driven up until between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, then serotonin takes over. Serotonin is more of the here and now neurotransmitter. It's more related to sort of a creativity, a relaxed, focused kind of idea, right?
Right.
So if you think you've got one type of work going all the way up until the afternoon, then you switch and you do more creative type of work in the afternoon.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Correct, correct. You're right, because we are fresh in the morning. We have a lot of good ideas and we're beginning with beautiful morning. So we are ready.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
Right.
if you have that kind of schedule, if you align everything towards that, things become a lot easier for you. Things make life flows better. However, last thing on this, right? There's still
Right.
more to it. Thing on this, the problem, sorry, another obstacle that we experience on this journey is as we map everything all out, and then we fall into the trap of, I've only got one more email to write. I've only got half a chapter to finish. I've only got this. Okay, this meeting's running over. I'll just keep pushing through. We always sacrifice ourselves.
Correct. We
They
do.
sacrifice our performance for what? For to be caught in the loop of
Correct.
struggle and anxiety.
Yes.
So aligning your nervous system and working on establishing new habits to point towards the goal that you want to get is how you will break free of the constraints of the old way of working towards a new you. You get me?
Yes, 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 absolutely. And that's really beautiful. Like we start aligning ourselves and following this rhythm. I think that will be an awesome way to attuning ourselves, and
Hmm.
the performance will definitely much better.
Yeah,
Yes,
effortless,
yes,
effortless. It really sense of flow. That you've got enjoyment. I mean,
correct.
also time with that as well. What I do with the clients that I work with, and anybody that works with me, I always recommend having time in there for family, for your relationship,
Yes,
for yourself.
for yourself.
It's-
Most important.
So these things here are part of it. So if a lot of the listeners are entrepreneurial based people, then what you got to think of is that even when you're not at your desk, if you're spending time with your family, if you're doing an activity, a hobby, you're still doing your business.
Correct.
You're still growing your business. And by taking time for this and doing that, you're more likely to get the inspiration, the breakthroughs, the aha moments that you are looking for in your on your laptop. You'll find when you're spending time with your family, they will arrive.
Yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
Winston, we would like to know what motivated you to write books and create courses about the flow state, and what's next in terms of reaching more people with your message.
So what I spoke about earlier about that intrinsic spark, that motivation, that passion inside, when you follow that, your path begins to take a dimension. So I'll give you a story of the first book that I ever wrote.
Mhm.
I am very dyslexic. Challenging was writing was a challenge for me. But for me to get to the position I'm at, I had to create something, I had to write something.
Right.
So my intrinsic spark was telling me to go this way, and my belief system, the way I was sort of educated, told me you can't do that, Wilson. So as I've discovered, continued following that intrinsic spark and began to transform the limiting beliefs, transform a situation where you were told you can't. I transformed it into a state where I can. I am. I am doing it.
Correct.
So by following that, I created the book. I began to walk the path that I'm on, and again, it took me to where you are today. So the new courses and programs that I have out on a regular basis is a path that will always be present, because the more I follow this, the more I unravel and reveal my true authentic self on a
Right.
regular basis, the more I will discover.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing about, because I coach other people, I speak to other people, I also, as they are blossoming from here, blossoming from their intrinsic spark, revealing their true self, I see other tools and techniques that will allow them to further connect to that, to further be their true self. So I sense I will always be um, a channel for tools to arrive to be able to offer them to other people who want to be their truth self. You
Yes.
understand what I mean?
Yes. 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 So,
I mean, truthfully, everything that I'm doing, when you put yourself into a specific state, when you follow your authentic self, in many ways, you could argue that it's not you. You're mainly just a vessel for passing on some information. And the more that I walk down this path, the more I realize that I am nothing other than just a vessel for certain things. And as you walk down that path, more things, when I align there, arrive. And it just so happens that I'm the person to pass on that specific instrument, that specific tool, that specific message, whatever it is.
Right, right, right. That's really amazing. And what is the name of your book? Our listeners would definitely like to read your book. So if you could share beautiful glimpses or
Well,
text about it.
the first one I did was called "The Mind of an Adult, the Heart of a Child," and it's a very small book, but it's all about. It's more like short stories on flow. But since then, I've written a lot of different books, different programs. So, Breathing and Flow, the recent one's Food for Flow. There's a whole lot of different books and programs that I have written. So, yeah, I can give the listeners the website. They can go check it out and they can see what other books and programs I have that fit with them. But they all share the same thing. They're all pointing towards getting you towards flow.
Correct, correct. That's amazing. So we would also like to hear a few inspiring stories of your clients who have thrived under your guidance and how did they transform their lives.
So, one gentleman I'll share, which is a man that has been a very influential figure in a certain field in the business world. And we started working with each other maybe about a year and a half ago. During that time, or when he arrived to me, he had sleeping issues. He was on a CPAP machine. He was up and not sleeping well at all. Within 8 weeks of the program, he was off that CPAP machine, which he'd been on for years and years and years. He was feeling stronger, healthier, more vibrant. And he was aligning his schedule towards what I spoke about earlier. But along that path as well, we being in a position where you can speak on a one-to-one basis, you can pull more things out of people and you can encourage them to take specific steps. So for this gentleman, he who's written many books, we are now in the process of um, creating a documentary on his field. And we have some of the most influential men and women in his industry um, aligned to doing the documentary as well. So here's a man that was is late, older, shall we say, or near retirement. But when you're in flow, you're never retired. Near retirement, and it's like a new lease of life that's been created by aligning his intrinsic spark towards this other instrument, a documentary, and he is a different man by doing these basic things that we're doing. I mean, I say basic by the CPAP machine and addressing his sleep. It comes with nutrition, it comes with breathing, it comes with exercise, it comes with scheduling all out. But the real exciting thing is when you are encouraged to do something that you might be a little bit apprehensive or fearful about, but yet your intrinsic spark is telling you to go this way. When you have somebody in your corner that encourages you to take that step, a lot of things changes,
Yes.
and it's certainly changing for him.
Correct. So do you think that our subconscious and uh, sorry, cut. Okay. Action. Do you think our conscious and subconscious mind plays a major role here in feeding ourselves with our attunement of the habits or the state of flow?
Yes, definitely, massively. But here's something that's kind of cool, right? So, like, when people understand about this conscious, subconscious mind and unconscious, right? They might go in and they might try and pull out, um, try and look for the problem. They'll focus their energy. What's holding me back? What is stopping me doing this, stopping me doing that? And they'll try and do a lot of techniques to unravel the unconscious, to remove certain things, or to pull stuff that's deep in the deep unconscious up front. The easiest thing to do, and the only thing to do, is when you align with what you're passionate about doing, what you love to do, what you do because it feels exciting. Now, that can be your business, it can be with a partner, it can be things that you don't even think are relative, but it come from in here. When you do this, when you follow this, it's telling you walk this way. Now, when you walk this way, for example, obstacles will arise. It's not a red carpet that's laid out. It's not the Oscars, right? It's not like, here you go, this way, sir, right this way. It's not like that. It'll encourage you to take that step. As you take that step, things that are maybe being in your mind and your subconscious and your unconscious will arise, will surface up. Our job is to deal with it when it comes up. Deal with it in the now. Deal with it in the here and now. The only thing that really exists is the present moment.
Yeah.
So when you connect to your excitement, your intrinsic spark, and you follow it, and then something comes up that maybe causes you to feel fear. Oh, what will everybody think if I do this? Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. There is where you address it. You understand it's a belief. You understand that it's not serving you, and you begin to transform that belief. And there's lots of different techniques, but if you transform it, then take action, and the more you do that, the more that old belief will dissipate away. So my suggestion to everybody is follow your intrinsic spark, follow your excitement. When something comes up, right? When something comes up, I deal with it there and then keep going forwards. And if anybody's questioning, yeah, I'll wait until this happens. I'll wait until that happens before I follow this. You will continue waiting. Now is the only thing that exists. Now. So take a step forwards now. When there's something comes up, deal with it in the here and now, and then keep going forward. Don't wait. Now's the time. You understand what I mean?
Correct. That's absolutely the most important thing. I think if we just start following it, the things in life will become very easy and actually aligned with our state.
Yes. And if something comes up, it's very important to see it not as a sign. Oh, that's a sign I'm not supposed to do this. Oh, shit, I shouldn't be doing this. I need to make sure something comes up. If your intrinsic spark is telling you to go this way and this comes up, transform it. Because really, you created the obstacle in the first place. You can transform it and take it away if you want.
Correct.
So you can always advance forward, but it takes a bit of courage to be able to be yourself, as strange as it sounds.
Yes. Certainly. So we would now like to know, with all your success, how do you stay so grounded and true to your own values and authenticity?
For me, the constant practice of what I'm talking about, by remembering who I am, by pulling myself into the present moment as much as I can, by spending time with my wife, my son, as much as I can, pulls me into the present moment. You see, it sounds terrible. Hopefully they're not listening. But my son and wife are like instruments to remember to pull me into the present moment. Anything that makes me think of an unproductive thought with my family around there, it's very easy to pull myself back into that present moment. But to me, the path that we're discussing is, it's like you're constantly adjusting, you're constantly making small changes to allow yourself to be present. It's not you flick a switch and that's it. You're always doing small adjustments, just like your nervous system. Your nervous system right now is doing things to be more sympathetic and doing things to be more parasympathetic. An example which is quite interesting, I think, is that throughout the day, your nose, okay, one nostril blocks up a little bit,
Yes,
and then later the other one blocks up.
yes,
So you have a parasympathetic or a sympathetic. Your body's constantly trying to adjust itself.
yes.
For us to be in the present moment, for just now, the position we are in this evolution is that right now we need to make those small adjustments to allow ourselves to be present and in the moment. Does that answer your question?
Yes, 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 it did. It did. Lovely, lovely. We're having an amazing conversation with Wilson, and I'm sure you all are listening to us and you're loving our conversation. So, Wilson, now, lastly, we have another last question before we go further and enter discussions of podcast. I would like to understand what exciting projects or goals do you have on the horizon as you continue to help others reach their peak potential?
Right now, we have a lot of a corporate package that we are bringing out. So companies are getting us involved. My team and I are um, helping companies at a sort of uh, an intense level, shall we say? I'm getting into flow. Why I'm saying it's intense
Mm-hmm.
is that what we do in a one-to-one just now, and we're now doing more with companies and groups, is we track people's sleep, we track people's heart rate variability, but we also do lab testing. So we test people's lab results and we customize everything to them. So now we're doing that for business owners and companies at a larger scale. So doing that, I find very exciting because with this, we're also, remember, we're speaking about the intrinsic spark. So what I'm excited about is that each member of the team has this intrinsic spark. And what we're doing is we're aligning the individual's intrinsic spark, what
Mm-hmm.
they love to do, what they love to deliver,
Mm-hmm.
so that it complements the company's spark, the company's mission, the company's purpose, the company's goal.
Amazing.
So what I'm finding exciting is that we're aligning everything towards enhancing the company at the same time, letting everybody feel fulfilled and happy, and there's a sense of flow for each individual inside the company. So I'm excited about this.
Oh wow, that's really amazing. And if a company is aligned so well and so planned, so I think this will be equally sparkling and important for their employees also working equally, because this would actually
Yep.
give them an environment and a place to work wisely and with their optimum potential.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Amazing. That's really amazing. So that concludes our podcast. But before we go, we would definitely like to hear your wisdom words that you would like to share with our viewers watching us.
What would I like to say? I'd like to say to people to follow their intrinsic spark, follow it no matter what anybody says to you, follow it no matter what maybe a part of you says to yourself. And when you follow it, you develop attributes of what I like to call a maverick. You will probably um, go against the grain. You will probably do things that you haven't done before. But when you follow your intrinsic spark with that courage, with that passion, with that determination, you will discover more of who you are. And when you discover more of who you are, you will effortlessly begin to notice that we're essentially all one. So, by the more that you pursue and be your true self, you will align and realize that we're all essentially one. So, it is really your responsibility to follow your intrinsic spark, to be your true self, because we, the I, need it. We need as many people as we can to be your true self without any limitation. So that's what I encourage everybody to do. what lit your spark.
Yes, yes, yes. That's really so amazing to be with you. And here's where we are concluding our amazing, enlightening conversation with incredible Mr. C. Wilson Melancholy. And thank you so much for sharing your wealth, knowledge, and experience with us. This was really amazing and actually enlightening. And I think our viewers would have gotten a lot of amazing I would say, information that they will be actually working upon to find their true self and enlightenment, which is equally important because until you are aligned with yourself, with what you're doing, I think then only you can actually perform well. And what you guided me that work less and produce more. So I think I'll definitely be following your a very amazing tip that you shared with me that work for 2 hours and break for 20 minutes, but not with your cell phones.
Great.
But then our
Excellent.
viewers would like to know then what should they be doing for that 20 minutes if not the cell phone?
So what you should do for your 20 minutes really depends on who you are and the time of the day it is. But in short, let's say you're in the office, get out of the office. Get out of the office, go outside. Let's say you've been spending 90 minutes with this dopamine and norepinephrine, acetylcholine focus on what you're doing. Go outside and allow your vision to open up like this. So allow your vision to open up. Go out. That doesn't mean you put a phone on either side of your head so you can see the social media on either side. What that means is that when you expand your vision out, you'll stimulate more of a parasympathetic response. If you're doing that in the backyard or anything like that, you'll have this sort of nature feel. So if you can do that, and lastly, take your shoes off and put bare feet, those would be the great things for you to do.
Oh, that's really an amazing one more tip which you shared with us lastly.
Yeah.
Correct. So here's the end of our amazing and endearing podcast with Mr. Wilson. To our cherished audience, thank you for the tuning into the Passionista podcast. We hope you found today's episode as inspiring and thought-provoking as we did. Stay tuned for more captivating discussions and interviews that ignite passion, inspire growth, and empower you to reach new heights. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. This was an amazing, amazing podcast which I had, and it was absolutely enlightening. And I really loved the conversation that I had with you.
Great. It was a pleasure meeting and speaking with you. A big hug to you. A big hug to you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much for
As
your
we say in
time.
India, namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Big hug. Thank you.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
ciao.